We asked the girl, we said, this is a remittance. Look, Black's Law Dictionary, specie of money. She said, we're going to talk to the lawyer. She went, talked to the lawyer, came back. Oh, the lawyer told me it's a typo. Yeah, I'll buy that one for $1. Like lawyers make typos. A typo is when there's one T in remittance, not when you change receipt for remittance. There's a big difference. And the fact that they want it back is very telling. The other thing I found, now to realize what your remedy is, one of the big problems is we're in rebellion. The government gives us an order, a government agent, a lawyer, or a judge, a JP, they'll try to give us orders. We say, I don't want to accept that order, nah, 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 nah. And then you're in conflict, and that's what we're trying to avoid, is the conflict. I was at a bar, surprise, surprise. I'm sitting there, the waitress comes up and asks this guy, and you know how sometimes you just have to see the cart before the horse, before you realize what's going on. She came up and she asked this guy, are you ready for your bill? Yes, please, bring me my bill. She turned to this couple, would you like to place your order? I went, ding, click. Bills follow orders. When have you ever in your life made or placed an order and then not been immediately liable for a bill? Go to McDonald's, you'll see what I mean. You order food, bang, here's your bill, pay up, you pay the bill, your order is filled. You go into court, they try giving you orders, they do it all the time. Cops will give you orders. If they go in there, and you see this, if you go into court, you watch them, they'll give you an order and then they just want to get you out of there as fast as possible because you have a right at that point to accept their order and give them a bill. I'm ordering you to pay a fine of $1,000. I accept your order. Here's my bill for $2,000. Pull out your checkbook, judge. They are liable for bills the moment they give you an order.
Bills as in dollar bill?
No, a bill as in an order to pay. Now, one of the problems that I've noticed with a lot of people in this whole movement and in the whole system is that we think that we have to win right now. We're in court, oh, well, I failed, I messed up. What if I were to tell you that you have 3 days grace at any time? It doesn't matter what you're dealing with. If it's a parking ticket, a violation ticket, a court order, you always have 3 days grace. The reason is, what they are doing is called a transaction of a security interest. You guys have here a Law and Equity Act. Look up that Law and Equity Act anytime you go to court. If you have to, bring that Law and Equity Act in. I call it the Monopoly bat. Imagine you're playing Monopoly. And at one point you pull out the bat and you get to bang the table with the bat and all the pieces go flying and the banker has to put all the pieces back exactly where they were. You get to order pizza and the banker has to pay for that pizza. That's the power that you have in that Law and Equity Act. In British Columbia it tells us it's applicable, the laws enacted and declared within this act are applicable in any court or tribunal in British Columbia, and they must use it. If you bring it in, they have to accept it. The other two sections, Section 2 and 3, and likely you'll find the same thing, tells you what remedy you have under this act. And essentially it says, and they use a whole lot of smoke and mirrors to give you this information, any remedy that would have been available to you in 1876 is still available to you. Which means you can say, no. I don't want a transaction with you, I don't want a contract with you, I don't want you to have any power or authority over me, and I'm not accepting it. You have all the power in the world to be a sovereign on this land. They don't want you to know that. If you recognize as a security interest, a little background, a security interest is anything that's either tangible or intangible that can generate or create an obligation to either pay or perform a service. A violation ticket is a security interest. A court order is a security interest. If it's not a security interest, don't talk to me because it's all about obligations and liabilities. Do I have an obligation to pay or perform? If so, there was a transaction of a security interest every single time. Now, the beautiful thing about a transaction of a security interest is you always have 3 days. And it says in it that a transaction of a security interest is not cured for 3 days, and a transaction of a security interest is rendered void ab initio by anything that would invalidate a contract at law. Fraud, duress, mistake, coercion, I didn't want to contract, all of these things. So no matter what they do, you get a ticket, fine, I accept that. I recognize it's a transaction of a security interest and I'm operating under protest and duress, and I want you to know that I'm going to be voiding that within 3 days under the Law and Equity Act. So go ahead, give me whatever you want. Within 72 hours, it's going to be a nothing. You're taking it out of the box and I'm eating it.
Could you define for the audience ab initio? Sorry.
Ab initio means from the beginning, from the initial. If everything they do, if you always have 3 days to discharge it, to render it void and invalid, why argue with them at the point that they're doing it? Why argue with them in court? Why argue with them when they're giving you a ticket? Oh, you can't give me a ticket. Oh, go ahead and give it to me. I've got my notices already. I'm just going to zero that out. They're doing their job. You're doing yours. They can't do anything about it. And once you start, I'll show you how to get to this level later. Once you start putting these red flags all over your name, they don't even try anymore. They know that, oh my God, either I'm going to be liable for that or it's just a waste of my time, isn't it? Absolutely. Big waste of your time, officer. But if you want to do it, you go ahead. When you bring this attitude, you start having more power over them because they expect you to, oh yeah, if you're not doing that, they're like, what's up with him? You're supposed to be scared and intimidated of me. Look, don't you see the gun? And you say, yeah, I see the gun. Guess what? See the smile? We have more power over them. All of their power that they have over you is a result of two things. Their deception, your ignorance. Sorry to be rude, but their deception doesn't work without your ignorance. And the way to deal with it is to deal with your ignorance. Then when their deception comes, you can look at them and smile. And you can tell them, you know, I'm not a child of the province. I don't know why you're trying to apply that to me. You can talk to them from a position of having power. And Clint will tell you, once you get to this position, you drive down, you see cops, you're not scared of them anymore. You don't get that, oh, the cops pulled me over. And now it's a chance to test out my theories. This is going to be fun. Now, how do we do this, though? When I was doing my research, what I found was that way back when, the judges used to always ask if someone was making a claim for damages against them, if there was a claim, the judges were always asking, where's the notices? And they would demand to see the notices. And if there were no notices, okay, this is dismissed, you failed to notice the other party. I ended up doing more research. I found out they used to actually use all the time notices of understanding and intent. If they saw that there was a potential conflict brewing, they would actually act like adult human beings, respect each other, and serve notice of their understanding and their intent upon their fellow man. This is step number one. I think there's a lot of people out there who have been trying many esoteric kind of things, but if you are not operating upon a notice of understanding and intent and then a claim of right, you could lose every time. Maybe one time they'll let you in, maybe next time they don't let you in. You can't figure it out, what's going on. When you do your notice of understanding and intent, it's their opportunity to discuss it with you. If they refuse to discuss it with you, they are accepting your understanding. They are sharing this understanding. Because you now have a shared understanding, you can share with them your intent. Once you've shared that intent with them, you give them 10 days. If they raise no dispute with this, you now hit them with a claim of right. They have 10 days to dispute that claim, and if not, it's cured. From that point forward, every time you're doing whatever it is you mentioned in your notice of intent, you are operating upon a right and upon a claim of right, which is very important. Read section 39 of the Criminal Code. The claim of right allows you to use, either you or your authorized agents or representative can use whatever level of force or violence is necessary to protect whatever property you have if you are holding it under a claim of right, even against those who are legally entitled to seize and possess it, which means cops. If they want to come and seize your property and you are operating upon a cured, perfected claim of right, they can't use violence to seize it, and the reason is the existence of one excludes the other. You cannot have two parties both with the power to use violence to seize one property. We're not fighting cocks in a ring here. We're not here to bring them pleasure by watching us fight. The fact that I can use violence to protect my property means nobody else has a right to use or threaten the use of violence to remove it from me. When you start acting on a claim of right,